Hello, welcome beautiful vibrant souls to this week's Astrocast. Woohoo! This is going to be covering the week ahead. This is going to cover October 31st through November 6th. So this is going to be, is that a cat fur? Nope, that one was my own stray hair. Amazing. Nature. Okay, so for the unfamiliar, the uninitiated into, who's encountering astrocasting for the first time, I'd like to say welcome back to all my old friends, of course, as well. But I want to give a brief rundown of how astrocasting works, so those who are unfamiliar become deeply familiar. So as you see, we have this circular board divided into 12 segments, and this represents the 12 houses of the zodiac and their natural areas of rulership. Now for astrocasting, what I do for the week ahead is I reach into my jar full of little tiny tarot cards. Like, look at this little itty bitty star card. Look it, for the smallest wish you could ever have. Oh my God. So I reach in blindly to the tiny tarot, grab cards, cast them onto the board, and interpret the energy of the cards in the area of life it corresponds to. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So as I mentioned before, this corresponds to the natural houses of the zodiac and their areas of rulership, but this might play out differently. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump the desk. This might play out differently for you based on your own personal astrology. So if you are looking for an astrocast for yourself, whether for a week, month, couple months, year ahead, etc. Please feel free to check out my shop link. I don't have these listed as a reading yet, but you can absolutely DM me for a custom reading. And if I get enough custom order requests or comments on these videos or anything like that, I will add it as a permanent fixture to the shop. So yeah, that's about the long and short of it. Let's get into it for our week ahead. I don't know why. I don't usually channel information with this, but one of the first things I was getting was choices. Decisions need to be made. Oh, there's a bird. Sorry, I'm trying not to look at the cards and the board. So sometimes it makes it hard for me to figure out where to look. There's a lot of cards coming out today. Okay, there we go. So we have the Ace of Swords in the 12th house. Now, when a card is like this, when it's on its side, it's neither directly upright nor reversed. This to me suggests that the energy is in flux, right? It could go either way. Now, this could be where it's different for each and every one of you. It could be where there are, like I said, the energy is changing this week. So you notice there's kind of a shift. It starts moving, but it's not fully it hasn't fully matured, or it's not fully recognized. So that's something to keep in mind. Similarly, we have the Six of Cups on its side in the 9th house. We have the Nine of Wands on its side between the 4th and 5th house. I already see where this is going. We have the World in the 2nd house. I'm gonna pee my pants. And as you see here, where the bottom of the card is facing inward, that's very clearly upright to me. And then we have, the Devil. So see where the top of the card is mostly more than not facing inward? I would call that reversed. So the Devil in the 4th house. Whoo, okay. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh, we got a lot to talk about, you guys. Wow. Let's see where we start here. First of all, we have Capricorn energy showing up with this Devil card. That may apply to you or somebody involved in the situation. This is a positive week, but this is also a time of some big, I don't want to say transformation. That's not quite it. It's like the transformation's already occurred, and then people are coming forward. You're starting to see tangible shifts in your reality. And for a lot of you, this has to do with communication, I feel like, with that Ace of Swords. So the first thing I want to talk about is this Six of Cups on its side in the 9th house, and the Nine of Wands bordering the 5th and 6th house, because I immediately felt like these two are connected. For some of you, they'll be separate messages, and I will read them separately, but I want to read them together first. Excuse my burp. So for some of you, there has been this soulmate relationship with the Six of Cups. There could be a lot of past life energy here, where there's been I'm hearing for a lot of you there's been separation, or there's been like you guys just cannot get onto the same page, and you guys took a little bit of space to cool off. Maybe you just weren't spending as much time together. But whatever has occurred between the two of you, whatever it has elapsed, I'm hearing also hearing relapsed. For whoever that applies to. Whatever has kind of occurred here, this has been in order for both of you to get a more zoomed out perspective. Because with the Nine of Wands here, I feel like there was a lot of maybe bickering or back and forth. So whenever I see anything that could pertain to a relationship bordering the 5th and 6th house, this has a lot to do with how you ground a relationship, right? The 5th house is our passions. It's our inspiration, our hobbies, and as such, it covers romance. But the 6th house is how we take those passions and we ground them and create healthy balance in our life, right? So we're not so subsumed by our passions that we ignore all other parts of life. Excuse me. So whenever there's anything regarding a relationship that borders these two, this can talk about, you know, how we show up in each other's lives in a, you know, like a daily context, right? The routines that we have together, building a solid foundation. This can also talk about, I'm sorry guys, excuse me. Sometimes this can also talk about like moving in together, because it's all about, you know, being a part of each other's daily lives. So it'll be different for each and every one of you. But for a lot of you, if this is pertaining to a relationship, I do feel like there is, like you guys have either recently come back into each other's lives, or, you know, there's like maybe a softening of the energy, or you guys are about to reconnect. The energy again is softening, it's preparing, and this the Scorpio new moon eclipse might be helping to kind of bring this energy in, usher this in very quickly for a lot of you. So for a lot of you, there is this soulmate relationship where you were encouraged or really forced to take a little bit of a step back, a little bit of like a timeout in order to figure out like, okay, do we want to be a part of each other's daily lives, right? Because I feel like with the 5th house, there's a lot of passion here. You guys probably enjoy each other's company quite a lot, right? The 5th house also deals with inner child kind of energy, right? And with the 6 of Cups, this is something where you guys go way back at the soul. You have this spiritual connection, and again, most likely past lives together as well. And there's this energy of like you guys really truly enjoy each other's company, but I also feel like there's an element to which it was really hard to ground this relationship, or like again it was hard to create a good healthy balance. Like either you guys were all in on each other, or you know, it was like you couldn't agree on anything. There were like power struggles, I feel. And I feel like with the 9 of Wands showing up, you either like gave up on this entirely. I also just noticed we have a 6 in the 9th house and we have a 9 in the 6th house. So those numbers might be significant for you. This could be June 9th, September 6th. You know, there could have been an issue, could have separated 6 months ago, 9 months ago, anything like that. You know, these also are naturally ruled by Virgo and Sagittarius, so those signs might be important. We have a little bit of Leo going on here. But just in general, I feel like you guys are getting a fresh perspective on this and really looking at it. I want to kind of pull a clarifier. Really looking at the situation differently. I do feel like it's going to go differently for each and every one of you. So take this clarifier with a grain of salt. Oh shit, sorry, the Lovers. All right, fine. I've been trying, seriously, I like to try to do other readings other than just love readings. Because I like those, but you know, it's very complex to trying to give a general reading. I'm also noticing the Tower was getting my attention. Okay. Yeah, if you're still in separation with this person, I feel like they're probably coming back. Either this week or very soon. We have another 6 showing up here. But it's time for decisions to be made about this connection. And I feel like this will go pretty equally, like there's an equanimity to the decision-making process. So maybe you both are having to decide, do we want to continue this? Do we want to try to stabilize this union? Maybe one of you made the choice to walk away, and now the decision's going to be in the hands of the other person. Oh, there's a chipmunk, and he's so cute. Oh, it's not a chipmunk, it's a bird. Well, bless my blind little eyes. Okay, sorry. It's so cute. Oh, he's just playing in the leaves. Oh, get him a pumpkin spice latte. He's enjoying fall. Oh, bless him. Okay, all right. Anyway, now that I've been super weird on the internet today, yeah, there's a decision that has to be made. Or there are decisions that have to be made. This could be very practical issues as well, like, okay, we know that we love each other. There's a strong soul connection here. There's a strong bond. There's past life energy. Like, I feel like you guys have had time to zoom out once again and get like a fresh perspective or a higher perspective as to why you do what you do. But there's something to the effect of like, okay, we know this is where we want to be. We feel called to do this. There's growth here, but it's like we can have the passion, the inspiration, but we're struggling to ground in the everyday. It might be that you guys lead very different lifestyles or have very different kind of like practical beliefs or things like that. So there's this energy of like, okay, how would we ground this? Do we want to do this? Because this has this energy to me of like, there are people in this world that would be easier for both of you to be with, and you both know that, but you're drawn to each other. And I feel like you guys have been kind of sitting here thinking to yourselves, like, yes, but is that enough? Is love enough? Or, is the love here going to be enough to propel us into doing the work, into grounding this? Because there's something that's like way out of whack, way out of balance. So for some of you, you are making those decisions. You may have either had those conversations, or with this Ace of Swords on its side, you're trying to decide this before this conversation. And for a portion of you as well, this is energetic. You feel this person getting closer and closer to your orbit. And you're kind of like trying to make the decisions about, okay, what is it that I want here? For some of you, you might be choosing between two different people. I'm almost getting between like a Leo and a Virgo. Not for everybody. We also have Gemini energy showing up here. You might be choosing between two different people, choosing between two different paths. But this is kind of what's going on this week, is that there are decisions to be made. And there may be communication about these decisions that's coming forward. I do feel like that that aspect will be different for each and every one of you, just based on this Ace of Swords. Now, if these are not related to relationship, right? The Six of Cups on its side by itself in the 9th house kind of indicates that I feel like a lot of you you might have been going through a period of Akashic integration, especially right now because the veil is at its thinnest. So this is the time when you're most likely to connect with spirit guides, departed souls, your higher self, as well as access parts of your soul's records. You have the greatest availability of that information at this time. Generally speaking, again, if that's one of your primary spiritual gifts and you can do that relatively easily, this is again still the time when the veil is the thinnest, but that might not make a huge impact on you in the long run. Sorry guys, my allergies are just awful. But for some of you, you've been doing this Akashic integration, and I feel like it's given you a different perspective on kind of your place in the world is sort of what I'm almost getting. And so I do see that kind of being more of a topic, more of a theme this week to start thinking about. For some of you, with this card here and then the Devil reversed in the 4th house, you are releasing old karmic soul patterns when it comes to your family of origin and your childhood, right? This is your home, your family, your emotional foundations, who you are behind closed doors, all that good stuff that goes along with the 4th house, your roots, essentially. So for some of you, you're gaining a higher perspective, and it's allowing you to release some of these really old soul contracts that have kept you really stuck for a very, very long time. For some of you, this process may include moving. You're starting to kind of look to, okay, maybe you've lived in the same town your whole life or very close, you've been in an energetic rut for a while, and it's kind of this energy of like, okay, well, world is my oyster. Where do I want to go? What do I want to do? And so you're really thinking about that, especially with the world in the 2nd house, some of you are really contemplating a pretty significant relocation. And that's very positively aspected for you this week. So any kind of suggestions, and I feel for many of you, this will be an internal process. This has a week of like a lot of introverted processes, so to speak. And this is kind of what you're really contemplating over this week. For some of you, the release of these old patterns and the integration of the lessons from these old patterns, right? This is in order to help you create a more solid routine, or like a more solid daily existence for yourself, where you're not having to always fight everything all the time. You've been really like having to dig deep and deal with your vices, your addictions, your karmic patterns, karmic cycles, really break those in order to make peace with peace. And for a lot of you, I have to burp, I'm sorry. Oh, it's not a burp, it's a hiccup. What a surprise. Blessings. For a lot of you, that process is, you're like kind of hitting a point of breaking even in that process this week. You're starting to see a positive shift, even just like in your mind frame about it, right? It kind of could be like, I know I need to be doing X, Y, Z, but it always, feels like a struggle. It feels like a chore, but I'm going to keep doing it with the idea that like, it's going to pay off in the long run, with the idea that, so maybe for some of you, you had an addiction, you had a vice and you quit, and you're staying strong with that, but it's been a struggle. Like I said, it's been a chore. This week, you might be having kind of a breakthrough, right? Where it's like, excuse me, I'm sorry. Because with the world in the second house as well, there is this element of this completion of a cycle and this graduation when it comes to your security and your stability. And I see that many people are having that, right? And this is kind of an underpinning. I think in every single week, there's a card that sort of serves to like be an underpinning energy. And these two are it for me in this particular spread. So for a lot of us, there's been this huge completion of a cycle, right? With the world in the second house. The second house really reflects how we value things and how we find security in things. This is why, at an external level, it can talk about your career, your finances, your home, your material possessions, but at more of an internalized level, it talks about your sense of how you value yourself, how you value others, what you find security in, what you cling to, right? Your security blankets and more of a shadowy aspect. So there's been this huge breakthrough. I'm hearing like a revelation, but a huge breakthrough when it comes to what you find security in. And there's been the underpinning for this week is that there's this, I feel like this recognition that you are rewriting your sense of foundational, like your sense of foundations in terms of what you find stability in. And these are deeply emotionally connected here, right? Especially where the second house to me can talk more about like your physical house, and the fourth house more talks about your home, right? Your sense of home. But there is still a connection between these two. There could be significant interactions between a Cancer and a Taurus as well. But for a lot of you, there's been this like graduation process, right? It's like a quiet achievement. You've had to like fight for this, right? There's a lot of energy here about learning to choose the more stable path, learning to choose yourself, learning to choose peace instead of the highs and lows that come with chaos, right? Our sense of addiction, our sense of feeling stuck in these loops that can be very satiating and satisfying, which are the same word. Don't tell on me. Very satiating, for a moment, but then come crashing down. And whatever this is in your life, because I feel like this will be different for everybody. Whatever this is in your life is very much connected to your sense of emotional foundations. These could be attachment wounds. These could be, inner child healing related issues that need to come up. Whatever this was, you have really conquered it. You are healing this. You are learning to choose to take the more stable path. You're facing your emotions. You're not backing down from the challenge of, what I'm hearing is like rewriting that part of your life, right? You're rewriting it so it's a better story. It's a more peaceful ending, and you've been doing this work. So there is this underpinning of like, I've leveled up. What I find secure, what I find safety, and what I find comfort in is starting to finally look and feel different than it used to, right? This is where I feel like, again, you guys have been working on this, but it's been a challenge. It's a slog. It's an uphill climb. And now you're kind of finally like reaching this turning point. And I feel like for a lot of you, it happened almost without you even noticing. It's like you woke up one day and it finally started working, right? This is kind of like a fake it till you make it energy. Like you finally started to find that you're enjoying stability, enjoying peace, right? If you've given up on some type of addiction, you're finally finding that you can weather those waves of wanting to go back to it or of missing certain parts of that experience, right? Whatever this is, if this is, you know, an old karmic relationship, you know, where it's, when it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's awful. You know, you're learning to kind of see the relationship with more clarity, right? And for some of you, this can be related to this situation, right? Where it's like, you're seeing the situation with more clarity of like, okay, you know, I do really miss these things about them. I really miss these things, but until these problems in the relationship are solved, it's not worth going back to until that has been resolved, right? I'm not spending the time and energy, you know, I'm not spending the time and energy to get a good result for a small portion of the time, right? This has this energy of like, I was talking about this with a friend months ago about like something I wish I had known in my 20s that I now am becoming very comfortable with the knowledge of in my 30s. But it was like, if I could go back and tell myself from 10 years ago anything, I'd lovingly take her by the hand and be like, sweetheart, what you need to know and really truly know is that being loved well 30% of the time is not being loved well. It's not the same thing, especially when you have to pay for it the other 70% of the time, or even if you have to pay for it another 30% of the time, and 40% of the time you're somewhere in between. Like, you know, like that kind of inconsistency is not the same thing as love. And this kind of has this energy where it's like, no matter if you, like, I feel like you guys are choosing the healthier alternative instead of the one that is gratifying in the moment, right? And so this is kind of, you know, at the core, you know, at a more like tangible level between these two cards, some of you are getting out of like a crappy living situation. You might be getting an offer. You might be getting the opportunity to travel or again to relocate. And I'm talking like, this is like more of a long distance move or a significant move. For some of you, like I said, you are talking with a partner. Maybe a point of contention was like a living situation, right? Maybe one of you wanted to move and the other one didn't, and this has been the thing that's been driving a wedge between the two of you. Maybe you wanted to be more of a part of each other's lives and the other person didn't, and this is what you've been fighting about. But for some of you, there's just been this issue when it comes to your living situation, and this is finally hitting a turning point. You're either seeing a way out, you're getting an offer. This also could be where the energy is shifting. Like for those of you who are very energetically sensitive, you're like, I don't know why, but I feel like I need to, you know, start saving up for something big. Or like, I don't know why, but I kind of want to go travel to this place. Like I really want to go visit. Don't ignore those intuitive prompts this week because the energy is really shifting in your favor pretty significantly. And I feel like it might move more quickly than you expect, but there is this breakthrough when it comes to your living situation in a much more tangible sense. And so, you know, this is the sort of other underpinning energy to me is the Ace of Swords on its side in the 12th house. The 12th house is, you know, it's the last house of the zodiac, so it is about wrap-ups. It's also about illusions, things not being totally clear, and it can be about secrets. So for some of you, there might be some secrets that come to light this week, and you're having to decide what to do about it. For some of you, some people are coming to talk to you, but there's still some hidden information, and you can sense this intuitively, and you're not wrong. For some of you, you have already had this communication we talked about earlier, and you're kind of trying to decide what to do about it. For others of you, you will be receiving this communication, or you can sense it coming very soon, like if not this upcoming week, the next week. It's like very, very soon. And you're kind of preparing yourself mentally and energetically for how you want to handle things. So like, let's say, you know, if this has to do with like a job offer or a relationship. You're like, I haven't heard anything about this for a long time. Like, there's no reason why this person would come back around, or there's no reason why they would give me the offer for this now. But you just feel it. The chances are that you are picking up on something incoming. But more than anything else, there's a lot of shifts this week, and I feel like, once again, there's going to be this huge internalizing process of review, right? So this is very much kind of an encouragement to try to not make any decisions this week if you can help it. Just let the information flow in, let people talk, let people say what they need to say, but trust your gut as well, because there is still information that's yet to be presented. And that sounds sinister, but it's not always the case, right? So if you can avoid making significant decisions this week, ideally, the exception being if you get like an offer when it comes to home in particular. But generally speaking, this is a good time to pause. And we actually see this too, because this is very much in alignment with the energy of Mars going retrograde in Gemini, which will be starting this Sunday. If you're curious about how that might, like what that entails or how that might impact you, I do have a separate reading that's all about that. And I'm also happy to do a custom reading for you personally about how that might affect you personally. But this is a time to kind of wait on taking significant action. There's information that's missing. There's communication that needs to happen. There is a shift in perspective that needs to take place. Excuse me. And this Mars retrograde in Gemini is likely going to be bringing those things in. So a lot of this is going to be a very internalized process over the next week as you kind of start to really sift through your beliefs about things, your beliefs about where things are headed, what you want, what kind of person or people you want to walk beside you, as you kind of make your way into this next stage, this next chapter of your life. So I think this is just about everything that I have for you guys. I am wishing you a happy, healthy week ahead. It's been an honor and a joy to get to read for you, and I hope I get to again in the future. Take care, love bugs. Bye.